WrestleMania 12. Okay? And I pretty much have WrestleMania 12 going the same way as it did in reality.
Okay.
I only have one difference. Now, Raw following WrestleMania.
Okay.
We know because Diesel was going to transition to Shawn, Mankind attacks Undertaker.
As he should.
But if Diesel's not going anywhere, I have Diesel and Undertaker continuing. This is going to be kind of like an in-ring thing.
Okay.
Where, like, say Diesel or like Diesel's in the ring cutting the promo, and then Undertaker's going to show up with a beat-up Hunter.
Yeah.
On the stage. Like, here's your buddy, come save it.
This is where Bischoff, as we're coming toward June, kind of says, you know what? I'm not forecasting for a big contract like Hall's or Nash's now. So I have a lot of money to play with.
Yeah.
I've got this guy out here who is hot, red hot.
And conversely, because there's a lot of room on WCW, you're going to find out that there's not a lot of room in WWF.
That's right. Benoit's kind of in the aisle way, like I need to get in, but I don't want to take a chair shot to get in.
Yeah.
As this is happening, Body comes out from behind Benoit, climbs the barricade, steps out right behind Benoit. Guy in jean jacket and shorts, spins him around, even flow DDT. Wow!
Even flow.
Scott Levy has arrived, folks. Mr. Raven from ECW has stepped into the scene.
Diesel and Undertaker are going to face off in a casket match.
Okay.
Okay? During the match, Hunter Hearst Helmsley is going to come out.
Okay.
He's going to appear to attack The Undertaker to help Diesel.
Okay.
But he attacks Diesel instead. The fatal four-way match for #1 contender is won by Razor Ramon.
All right.
Okay? Shawn Michaels is going to retain the WWF title and win over Steve Austin. Michaels will be confronted by Razor Ramon after the match with a stare down to end the show.
Okay. Moving into July, obviously we know that we just ended up with our Great American Bash in June. We finished up with the Horsemen being attacked and dismantled by what I effectively at this point I'm calling the hyenas. They just run in and scavenge and pick the bones of people when they're not paying attention.
Well, could you call them the loose cannons?
Probably could.
Yeah.
They easily could do that and just take that moniker and spread it. So in a stressful fit of rage, this is where we kind of find out that Eric Bischoff is actually the executive producer of WCW. If you remember during that time frame, he was doing on-air commentary at the split out, but they had been kind of selective with how much they shared about his backstage role during that time frame in '96. Well, because of what's happening here, and to add to that layer of realism, they actually are going to reveal that he's the executive producer of WCW, and this is found out as he kind of leaves the set and starts going like back in the back to start like calling people for help and resources. Like, I don't know what to do. We got these crazy guys that are running in. They're influencing matches. They're doing stuff that I'm not comfortable with. And eventually he gets to a point where he decides, you know what I need to do? If they're asking for WCW guys that we got to fight or have to come fight them, I want to bring Sting back here. Sting was the start of this. He was the first guy that Pillman put hands on in January, and I feel like this would be a great situation. But Sting's still on mend.
Okay.
He's at home. So Bischoff calls him, and we get a kind of a videotape of a backstage phone call that shows Bischoff pleading with Sting in hopes that he'll return as the homegrown talent to battle back against the bad guys. Sting declines during this time frame because he's like, I'm still recovering, my family is really stressed out and worried. This is kind of one of those angles where you're almost curious as to if Sting's even coming back. Like, man, maybe he really did get hurt, neck, shoulder, something, back, something that's really, really big. And he's like, yeah, I don't think that right now is the time for me. I'm really going through rehab. It's not coming the way it's supposed to. I don't feel like things are headed in the right direction. They're telling me I might not ever wrestle again.
Okay, we'll stop you there.
Okay.
does that not make Sting look sort of weak?
So I don't think it does, because I think that, again, when you start talking about the realism of this world, if you have kids, you have a wife, and you have people who are worried about you and your well-being after you were absolutely destroyed by a guy. I've been wrestling for, at this point, how many years? Sting's been in the business. His body's older, he's been getting pounded on for a time, and now you have a guy that puts him in this realistic injury angle, very similar to the way that Austin hit up Shawn Michaels. I think that it's a story where you're questioning if Sting is going to have the gumption to come back.
Well, and the only reason I say that is because on my side,
Yep.
I got Shawn Michaels coming back in less than a month.
Yep.
Whereas you have Sting out
Months.
for how long?
We're 6 months in now.
So are you basically making me look fantasy and you looking real?
I think so. You don't think that?
Them's fighting words, dude.
Hey, you're the one with that route. You also decided that Scott Hall didn't have crack problems.
After that, okay. However, and I'm going to go ahead and reveal this now. I have not seen his notes.
Nope.
And he has not seen mine.
That's right.
So, I mean, there are some things we did sort of collaborate on, like, and we'll get into it later on because Bret Hart's going to play a key role.
Yep.
But we had to do some collaboration because, you know, with everything going on with Bret, we kind of wanted to sync that up.
That's right.
Okay, but so basically I'm hearing most of this. Matter of fact, for him, I'm hearing all of
For
this
the first time.
for the first time. Now, I did say, hey, what do you think about this for him? Because when it comes to creativity,
Yeah.
yeah, not me. So I did run a couple of things by him, but for the most part, he has not seen my stuff, and I definitely have not seen his. So that's why we're kind of stopping each other midway through.
Yeah, hearing it for the first time.
Yeah.
So as we're pushing into July's Bash at the Beach time frame, Nitros are becoming a very chaotic and catastrophic kind of space, very similar to the way the NWO really functioned. If you recall the Kevin Nash power bomb of Rey Mysterio into the trailer, you might not have seen that, but that was one of those situations. Like when it happened, it was like, oh my goodness, this place is nuts.
He didn't powerbomb me, lawn darted.
Yeah, that's right. The big toss. So this is, and it felt so real. This stuff's happening in parking lots. This stuff was happening when guys were walking to the locker room. It was such a wild time, and I kind of wanted to encapsulate that same thing. I wanted people to feel like tuning into Nitro is oh my gosh, what's going to happen?
Appointment television.
Oh, absolutely.
And because that actual altercation, I think, happened at MGM Grand.
That sounds right.
I think.
Okay.
Somewhere in Disney. And there were people who actually called the police. Not kayfabe police. They called the real police.
Worried about that.
There's something going on over there. Yeah.
So the one thing that we recognize and that Bischoff at this time recognizes in this world is that even though the madness is going on, there's still a machine that has to keep churning. The Nitro has to continue to go forth.
Okay.
So what they do is the show has to continue. And so at this time, Lex Luger, who is carrying the World Heavyweight Championship, enters into a babyface versus babyface feud with Hulk Hogan.
So what you're saying is Luger beat Giant?
He beat Giant, that's right.
For the title. Okay.
Yep. So Luger is the heavyweight champion at this time, and he is getting ready to walk into a Hogan. This is a returning Hogan. Hogan had a little bit of time off, probably Thunder in Paradise type stuff. Something.
Yeah, and he might have been away doing a movie, I think.
It wasn't Sam with Muscles, was
No,
it?
that was post-NWO.
But yeah, so this time frame, as we hit July, we're working our way toward Bash at the Beach. Nitros are nuts. So as Hogan and Luger kind of become the two guys they focus a lot of their time on with Sting gone and with some of the other things happening, the major storyline for the main title is right there. So their promos against each other kind of harken back to their time together or around the time frame of the WWF, and this expectation that the younger Luger was going to somehow take Hulk's place as like the conquering hero of the brand and stuff like that. They're playing with some of that stuff so that you can continue to get that full feel of there's some realism and backstage politics and whatnot there.
And yeah, I think that's something they probably should have done when Luger made the surprise debut on Nitro.
I thought the same. I think that's same.
Because I remember Hogan saying, I said, I know how long you've been in the game, yada, 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 this, that, and the other.
That's right.
But then once the War Games thing hit, that kind of hit the bricks.
That's right.
Yeah.
So at this point, we're saying, so they're kind of hitting some of those realistic promos between those two. Meanwhile, the audience has treated the Eric Bischoff kind of consistently scrambling to find 3 WCW representatives. He is looking for 3 guys to help because he's like, I just need somebody to step up and solve this problem with these guys. He doesn't even care there's only 2 of them. He keeps hearing 3. So he's out to look for his 3.
And I'm quite sure he kind of feels good because he didn't get powerbombed to the stage.
That's right. That's right. He didn't have to deal with that one. So that's why he could comfortably scramble. So because he's kind of going through this process, he ends up approaching Flair and the Horsemen to ask for their assistance with the loose cannons who are picking on all the wrestlers. Arn accepts and says, yeah, I'll represent WCW because this is a bigger problem than anything we got going, any friction-wise. I'll step up. The only issue is Flair, Benoit, and Mongo all still have nagging injuries that we're not certain are going to allow them. They're not cleared, essentially, is what we're looking at. So Arn is like, I'm going to be the guy. I'll be the guy alone. You guys stay on the bend. We'll figure this thing out.
So you're going to babyface the Horseman?
That's right.
Okay.
So we're working our way toward babyface Horseman. Now, that leaves Bischoff with 2 vacant slots if he's going for 3 guys. So as the pay-per-view approaches, Sting sits down for a conversation with Tony Schiavone at his home, but as Steve Borden. No face.
Steve Borden.
No face paint.
Okay.
Like in a chair, on his couch, or whatever the case may be. And he literally says, we go, hey, I'm a man whose kids had to watch him suffer, struggling back to health. Have barely been able to walk since January. I've been rehabbing and going through this whole process. My family has had to suffer through this operation. And I am committed, now that I know I have a date that I can return, I am now committed to giving Brian Pillman a receipt for what he did to me. And so he says, no more face paint, no more gimmicks. He, at this point, has grown that hair out, so it's almost dark like it was the Crow version, but as we kind of discussed before, because Hall's not there, I have done some additional research on that. Hall was the guy that came up with the Crow concept and put it on him. So without Hall there, I did want to change the traditional Sting approach, but no, the Crow's not the operation to go with. So we're switching over kind of to, imagine like a badass biker taker type deal. Sting is coming back as Steve Borden, and he is not going to do the face paint. He is going to show up ready to smash on these guys that put him out, or this guy that put him out in jail.
The American Badass before the American Badass was the American Badass.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, with that, at Bash at the Beach, Harlem Heat defeats the Steiner brothers, who have carried those vacated tag team championships for pretty much the entire year. Steiners look like monsters, like they always have. And Harlem Heat pops up, and they are starting to kind of come up on that upward trajectory. I don't really know how important that is overall, but just kind of wanted to insert that in there that, hey, there are other things still going on within the world at this time. So they end up getting those titles. During the same time frame, the Giant is feuding with the Dungeon of Doom. He's done a spin around so that he's baby-faced against the Dungeon, is what I'm doing with Giant right now.
So could you possibly have, when he drops the title to Luger, it's because of the Dungeon of Doom getting involved and it backfiring?
Absolutely, absolutely. And he could be on his trajectory throughout that entire time frame of working his way toward being a good guy or whatever the case may be. But the feud for him is with the Dungeon of Doom. One of the things that I was hopeful to do is create a lot of baby faces in the landscape that could potentially be the other 2 guys Bischoff could lean on for this NWO situation.
Okay. Because I'm not trying to critique or anything, but that sounds like it's getting to be a little bit babyface heavy.
Well, it'll
If you're gonna babyface the Horseman and babyface the Giant.
it'll matter.
Okay. Okay.
It'll matter. So from there, we have main event. I'm sorry, the Giant feuds with Dungeon of Doom. Not that it really matters. And the main event is Hogan is gaining the upper hand on Luger for the WCW Championship. The Loose Cannons hit the ring.
Is this at Bash at the Beach?
This is at Bash at the Beach.
Okay.
Yes, we're in July. This is the heavyweight championship match. It's the final match at Bash at the Beach. They hit the ring. They attack Hogan aggressively. They choke him with a chain. They bash him with chairs. They're going like completely nuts during this time frame. The thing that is weird is they don't touch Luger.
So this is all on Hogan.
It's all on Hogan.
Okay.
Now Luger, because he was about to lose the match, kind of powders off to the corner. Oh gosh, I'm dying. I can't take anything. But they are focusing all of their time and attention on pounding out Hogan while Luger lays there and watches it. Now,
So does that kind of put Luger's babyface status in question?
it does indeed.
Okay.
It absolutely does. So at this moment in time, we say, so you don't touch Luger. As the champion lays back in the corner to gain his bearing, Arn rushes the ring, and when Arn rushes the ring, the two jump off and take off into the stands. So Arn comes out and gets them to run off.
Arn does.
Arn does.
Okay.
So now you have a down Hogan.
So you have Arn Anderson and
questionable
saving Hulk
Luger, and
Hogan.
Arn Anderson saves Hulk Hogan.
Arn Anderson. Wow,
Dire Straits.
that's different. Okay.
Dire Straits. This is what we have come to. So the following Nitro, still in the month of July, Luger opens the show to defend his position, saying that he was too injured to assist Hogan, and the doctors said he had a separated shoulder from the match. But if his old tag team partner Steve's coming back for a war, he's more than happy to have his back. So, later in the night, there's a phone interview with Sting, who says in the current state of things, he isn't quite sure who he can trust. Luger, Hogan, Savage, the Steiners, they all have ties to other promotions. Some of them have made questionable decisions throughout time, and as he's been sitting at home watching the product, he really doesn't have any semblance of comfort as to who he could really be partnered up with.
Okay, now I'm going to stop you.
Okay.
Steve
Yep.
is going to say that Hogan, Savage, what questionable decisions has Hogan made?
So I would say that historically, based off of their experiences together, like it's backstage politics conversation.
Oh, kind of like you're still digging into the, because they did have a Hogan Sting match on Nitro in '95.
Mm-hmm.
So is that where you're going with that
Little
one?
bit, yeah.
Okay.
But want to keep some of the realism aspect of things as well. I mean, the Smart Mark fans at this time have started to turn on the Hulkamania movement.
Yeah,
In
because
'96, they're going boo when he comes out to the ring. He's getting the John Cena treatment to a certain extent. And you know that there is a reputation for him in backstage politics that are holding other guys in the business down and things like that.
Work for me, brother.
That's right. So you start to kind of play with weaving those lines. And that's kind of the realism, since realism logic.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Got it?
All right, so we're talking, he's got, the real Hogan has made questionable.
That's right.
stuff.
Real Hogan's made questionable decisions. Real Savage has potentially made questionable decisions. The Steiners coming from other promotions and not having a real good feel because he's like, I don't really know, do they care about WCW? Do they care about like me as a guy? Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't trust anybody right now. This world we're in is weird.
Okay.
And so at that moment in time, he literally, I say, seeds of dissension have been sown, leaving Steve to feel like he's on an island all by himself. So that's the big storyline that's kind of permeating this thing. Is Sting's coming back in August. That's
Okay.
when he's going to show back up. And he is at home literally going, I don't know. If I'm coming back to fight Pillman, I need to bring some guys with me. But I don't trust anybody there right now. Very much like Luger didn't trust Sting during the NWO kind of angle.
Yeah,
I wanted Sting to kind of feel like he's on this isolated island and he's been sitting at home this whole time by himself, recouping from an injury
Okay.
that just kind of keeps him, away from everybody.
Okay.
And that is how I close out my July.
Okay, so then we'll kick back to me, because I had just left off with King of the Ring.
That's correct.
All right, so the Raw after King of the Ring.
Okay.
All right. Undertaker continues to haunt Mankind, and he wants Mankind to reveal the location of Paul Bearer.
Because Paul Bearer's still captured.
Yeah. Mankind refuses.
Got it.
Alright, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Still being accused of the advance on Diana Smith.
Okay.
Is attacked by Camp Cornette.
Okay.
With Vader appearing to deal the final blow.
Alright.
Okay?
Is that Vader's debut there? Or
No.
is he been around for-
Vader's been in Camp Cornette the whole time,
Got
but he's been doing other stuff that I'm not covering in here because
Okay.
then, we don't want this thing to last 10 hours.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, there's a contract signing for the WWF title match between Razor Ramon
Okay.
and Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
During the segment, because contract signings always happen this way, during the segment but before the contract is signed, Diesel makes a return
Okay.
to assist Razor in attacking Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Sid, making his surprise debut,
Alright.
arrives and saves Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Alright, now for the Raws for the rest of July. We have Mankind shooting vignettes teasing the whereabouts of Paul Bearer. Every time he does a vignette, he's standing by a door or he's walking towards a door.
Okay.
Alright, and when he gets to the door, he's like, and here's Paul Bearer, but boom, Paul Bearer's not there.
Open your closets and stuff.
Yeah. It's revealed that Helmsley is injured after the attack by Camp Cornette.
Okay.
And Helmsley is deemed unable to compete at the July in your house.
Okay.
Okay? And instead of booking a WWF title match for the July in your house, WWF officials again punish Razor for the attack on Michaels.
Okay.
And they book a tag match between Razor and Diesel versus Shawn and Sid.
Okay. That seems like WWE or WWF booking. Or
Yeah, because and once you find out where I'm going with it, you'll know why we're doing the slow burn.
Okay.
Okay. Now for In Your House 9, the July In Your House. All right, Helmsley, who hadn't been seen since the Camp Cornette attack, comes to the ring on crutches for an interview segment.
Okay.
Okay? He claims that he's not quite 100% yet, but he's getting there. Camp Cornette arrives and surrounds the ring.
Okay.
Mark Marrow and Ahmed Johnson follow. They rush the ring to assist Helmsley.
Okay. Baby faces.
Yeah.
Baby faces.
Vader, Bulldog, Owen, and Cornette. Cornette with his tennis racket. They still think they have the advantage, so they climb up on the apron.
Okay.
Helmsley reveals that the crutches are a ruse.
Ooh. Tricky trickster.
Breaks one of them over Vader's head and busts him open.
Okay.
And the brawl ensues that has to be split up by officials.
Got it.
Alright. Now the tag match, Razor, Ramon, and Diesel versus Shawn and Sid, is won by Razor and Diesel after Razor pinned Shawn after a Razor's Edge.
Okay.
A frustrated Razor looks into the camera at the end of the show and says, "Is that good enough to get a title shot now?" And the show fades to black. And you notice I completely skipped Mankind and Undertaker.
Yeah.
Alright, because their stuff is going to continue on, but nothing happens during the pay-per-view.
Down the line a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. The Raw after In Your House 9.
Okay.
Mankind is, guess where?
Boiler room.
Boiler
In
room.
the boiler room.
For another Paul Bearer reveal tease.
Okay.
When he opens the door, Undertaker's there.
Ooh, nice.
And they fight in the boiler room. The boiler room brawl is booked for SummerSlam.
Okay.
Paul Bearer, who has still had possession of the urn the entire time. One thing I forgot to.
So
to mention.
Mankind has the urn and Paul
So
Bearer?
basically, Paul Bearer has Mankind, or
Mankind has Paul Bearer.
yeah,
and-
Mankind has Paul Bearer has the urn.
Got it.
But Paul Bearer will present the urn to either Mankind or Undertaker to determine the winner.
Okay.
Just like it happened in real life.
Okay.
Alright, there's a first blood match between Helmsley and Vader booked for SummerSlam.
Okay.
After Vader interrupts the Helmsley match and busts Helmsley open by slamming him into the ring post.
Nice.
Razor versus Shawn is made official for SummerSlam.
Okay.
Due to the volatility of the two combatants, they are not allowed to touch each other until SummerSlam.
Okay.
If they do get physical with each other, the instigator would be punished.
Okay.
Shawn would be stripped of the WWF title, or Razor would lose his opportunity.
Okay.
Okay, so then we get to the Raw shows for the rest of August.
Okay.
Mankind reveals Paul Bearer on the Go Home Raw.
Okay.
Bearer's hair has turned gray. So instead of being dyed
Black.
black, he's gray.
Okay.
And he looks horrible.
Okay.
Like he's been abducted for 2 months or however long it's been.
Got a beard, the mustache in there anymore. That's it.
Undertaker rescues Bearer and regains possession of the urn to close out the segment.
Okay.
Vader and Helmsley take turns busting each other open on alternating shows.
Okay.
Prior to SummerSlam, the Go Home show sees Vader and Helmsley simultaneously bust each other open with chair shots.
Okay. So there's a whole bunch of blood.
Yeah.
Every show that's coming.
Back then,
It was regular.
it was starting to get into the Attitude Era. This is the precursor to it, but this is where we start to head in that direction.
Got it.
Shawn wants to match with Razor, so he makes no effort to get Razor to break the no-touching agreement.
Okay.
Razor tries to provoke Shawn every week. He and Diesel corner Sid and lay him out.
Okay.
They try to get Shawn to come to his aid. Shawn refuses to take the bait. Shawn is attacked by Diesel in his home for a home interview. Diesel shows up, attacks Shawn, and Razor shows up and starts to threaten Shawn's parents.
Oh goodness. Okay.
But Sid steps in and saves everybody. So Sid and Diesel's interaction during this time has WWF officials book Diesel versus Sid for SummerSlam.
Okay.
Okay. Now, for SummerSlam, Steve Austin is booked on the undercard against Jake Roberts.
Okay.
After Roberts is soundly defeated with a Stone Cold Stunner, Austin gives the 316 interview in the ring after the match.
Okay.
So instead of getting it at King of the Ring, we get it at SummerSlam instead.
So that means Jake is still on the same trajectory of going into the religious character.
He was still doing the religious
that.
thing,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And that's going to come into play later on.
All right.
Paul Bearer, still gray-haired, goes to the ring with the urn and awaits the arrival of Mankind and Undertaker from the boiler room. Both men make it to the ring. Paul Bearer strikes Undertaker with the urn and presents it to Mankind.
Okay.
Vader and Helmsley are both wearing bandages to protect their wounds prior to their first blood match.
Tear him off and attack it.
Vader even has to take his mask off because it irritates one of his scars. The match goes on with each trying to bust the other open until Vader holds Helmsley for a tennis racket shot from Cornette. Helmsley moves out of the way and the loaded racket strikes Vader and busts him open.
Okay.
And the match between Sid and Diesel is won in dominating fashion by Diesel.
Okay. Sid just gets owned.
We paid him all this money, we better make him look strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See that.
Shawn wins the match against Razor to retain the WWF title.
Okay.
Okay? And then we'll go ahead and stop at mine, and I'll start with the Raw after SummerSlam, and we'll go ahead and go back to you.